Welcome to For Action Takers Only. Tonight, I'm interviewing Evan Turner. He's a two-time drone racing league champion. He started his own business at 16, and he is also working for Beverly Hills Aerial right now. So we're going to bring him in and let him tell us about all that. Welcome, Evan. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I just bought my first condo today. Just moved in. Like, there's still random like boxes and stuff in the background. So it's been a great day, and I'm excited to get on and talk with you.
Well, cool, and congratulations on the new condo then. So you're getting moved in. All right. So I want to get started with the questions. We know we started a business at 16 years old. Was that that's 533, right? Was that the business you started? Okay.
That's correct.
So what inspired you to start that business at such a young age, and were there any specific challenges you faced along the way?
I mean, the biggest thing about 533 and me starting it alongside my business partner Armando was it wasn't this master plan. There wasn't this business model and this idea of making all this money. There was none of that. I was at a point in my career racing drones where I kind of built a brand for myself. And that was where other companies and other people said, hey, we want to make an Evan Turner motor. We want to make an Evan Turner product, and we'll give you a royalty off of it. And that was really exciting to somebody to me as a 16-year-old. And it had always been a dream of mine to have my name on products and be sponsored by somebody and all these things. But I was actually given some advice by some other people in the industry who ran their own stores. And they said like, hey man, like in a way they said like this guy, or if you do this, like you're kind of ripping yourself off. Like what if you just went and made your own products? Like they basically framed the question as what's stopping you from just making your own motor and putting your name on it? Or what's stopping you from making your own X product and putting your name on it instead of just letting somebody else do that and them take that big chunk of the name and use your name to build their own brand? And I thought about it, and the cost of entry was in reality very low. So I said, you know what, like, yeah, sure. What is stopping me? And like a few $1,000s, and like I would get to learn all these things along the way. So sure, I will buy. It started as making drone frames. So basically, those are carbon fiber. You take a carbon fiber sheet. You have a design, you cut out what you want, and then, of course, they're assembled together and all these things. But in reality, it's very, very simple. And that was our first product. I partnered with, like I said, my friend Armando, who was an aerospace engineer at Boeing for several years, and he just a year prior to this had quit his job at Boeing to spend more time with family, and he just had a kid and wanted to spend more time with his family. So it kind of had taken a step away from work and was looking for his next endeavor that wasn't the typical 9-to-5 corporate life or corporate world. So we kind of become friends, and he had all these designs and ideas, and I had this name and marketing power, if you will. We kind of joined forces to where he provided the designs and all of that, and I helped promote it. And basically our strengths really complemented one another. So that, alongside with a friend who really, I guess, just kind of owed me a favor. He had some web design background, and he helped us design our very first website, the 53, which is not the same website that we use now, but it got us off the ground. And yeah, that's what started it. And again, it was just, hey, like, these are some frames that we make. I'm going to use them. If you want to use the same frame I use, then you can buy them at this link. And it started out of actually, I'll show you.
Yeah, grab one.
That green box right there is what 533 started out of.
It's a 533 business right there, huh?
Yeah, exactly. That container, because that was how small our inventory was. It was super like limited, and we had a website that had like 2 products on there, which was a frame and a spare part for the frame in case you broke it, like a spare arm. And then we got really, really lucky because it was like a marketing dream. Like if you think about the world of marketing, this was a marketer's dream, which was to launch a new product, have a new person use it that had a lot of hype around them, and then for that person to win with said product. And that's exactly what happened. We launched November 14th, which was the first day of multi-GP Nationals in 2019.
Oh, wow.
And myself, and we had sponsored a few other people to use this frame and kind of promote it. And sure enough, that was one of the years that I won multi-GP champs with this frame. So it was the perfect marketing, like, and again, totally a lot of luck, a lot of kind of happy accidents, but it was perfect because we launched the product. There was hype. We got at the nationals, all these pilots saw us using it, and then it won, which got order of magnitude even more attention, which gave it that brand. It gave it reputation, and it gave it validity. It wasn't no longer was it this picture on a screen or me saying it. It was this frame can actually be used to win, and it did. So that was what kickstarted our business right there. In the first week that happened of us starting, and the rest is history. It grew from there. Started with one product, it won, and then we just kind of took it and ran with it. And here we
So
go.
I got to ask you, it all stems from drone racing. How old were you when you got into drones, and when did you start drone racing?
So I've been flying something since I was 5 years old. There's a picture of me, for those who are watching. That's me at 5 years old holding a remote control, and that was basically little Evan. And it started along with my dad, who helped me get into remote controlled airplanes, and we did that as like a father-son hobby for years and years. And about the time I turned 13 or 14 is when I got into drone racing. FPV drones started to become something. My friend Sam built an FPV racing drone, and he let me put the goggles on. And for the first time, I was like, this is what I got to do. Yeah, exactly. The rest, I got to do this. Right. And I was very lucky also that I had so much experience flying remote controlled airplanes that a lot of the skill kind of translated. So I was able to get relatively good, relatively fast. And I also, you take that head start, if you will, combine that with something that I now really liked and I wanted to do all the time, and I did do all the time. And that's like kind of recipe for success right in itself. So took something I liked doing and had the opportunity to do and was already like natural, or not naturally good at, but I'd already had a lot of experience kind of in a roundabout way doing it. Yeah. And it was just something I did and I loved every day. Like I was on the soccer team, but I like eventually got kicked off the soccer team because I went to too many drone races. And like, instead of playing video games, I was never really good at Call of Duty or anything like that. So I flew more drones, and my dad flew drones, so I flew more drones. Like it just all these things. It was and is exactly what I wanted to do every single day, every day, nonstop.
Not too many people get to do that.
No. And I feel so lucky that that's where it turned into what it did. But it's just what I wanted to do every day. So I wanted to get really, really good at it. And by definition, spent a lot of time doing that. And here we are.
All right. So how did you hook up with Drone Racing League? How did you find out about that? Was that a thing when you were or wasn't that just starting out?
Yeah.
When you were racing?
I mean, that was always the big dream, I guess you could say. It was starting around the time that I got into drones, and then it kind of grew as I grew as well. And, going back to this like marketer's dream, that 2019 Nationals that 533 launched, I won Nationals. That same year, DRL did a deal where if the winner of multi-GP Nationals got a DRL contract.
Okay.
So I won with the frame, launched the brand, and got on DRL all in the same week.
Oh, wow. So that was like the perfect storm.
Exactly. And it's like at that point, it was just capitalizing on that big jump. Like it opened the door. Basically, I see that week of my life as just the door swinging wide open, and it's going to start closing. And you have to do as much as you can before that door closes. And that's really the position I was put in. So I got on DRL, and I was a junior in high school at the time. And then just decided I wanted to win DRL. I wanted to pursue my business as hard as I could, try and not drop out of high school, and do all these kind of balance all these things that there were to do. Yeah. And I did, and I won my first season and second season on DRL. Obviously ended up putting a lot of time in through that, while simultaneously running the business and trying to build a career while also having fun and trying to decide if I was going to go to college or not going to college. Like it was a very weird transitionary time in my life where there was a lot of opportunity and a lot of big decisions to be made at the same time.
Right. So how did you balance all that?
Well, the balance slowly. I'll back up and give you some more info about me. Both of my parents are doctors. So
Okay.
education is very, very important, as it should be. And it was something they valued a lot. So as I was growing up, school was something that was highly prioritized, very, very prioritized. And to learn how to work hard, be diligent in my schoolwork and all these things, and to get good grades. And, of course, work towards a higher education at a good school and all these things. So as I found more success in drone racing, I had to kind of make that decision of, am I going to stay in all these high level classes? Am I going to stay pursuing these big things? Because you're going to have to make sacrifices to do this. When we all know to pursue anything, you can have, I've always loved the quote, you can have anything you want, but you can't have everything you want.
Right.
And that was kind of the decision I had to make, because I could either try and pursue everything to the max and just be bad at everything that I do, or I could kind of pull back the brakes on some things and go in and be really good at other things and see what happened. So that was kind of what I did. I didn't slack off or by any means, but I definitely, my course load changed in school, and I started to prioritize drones a little bit more as I had success there. Basically, I made it through the testing season, the standardized ACT, SAT. I took the tests that would get me into college with the number that I needed or whatever, and then scholarship and all those things. And then once I got that, I kind of decided, all right, I'll get into college and I'll be fine. But let's see in this last year and a half what could come. Like, what can I build in this last year and a half before I have to go to school, or I have to go. And so, yeah, my values changed a little bit, and it was dynamic, and it started to do more of the business, more with racing, more with filming, just to see, again, because I wanted to do it, for one, because I thought it was fun. And the dream of being able to do this every day was just so big in my mind. And that's, so the balance kind of shifted there, and I went for that last year and a half, and eventually ended up making the decision to not go to school, which was a very big one for my parents, or not go to college. And the way that worked was, my parents said, I introduced this idea to them, maybe they had an idea. And I was at the point in this whole business journey where, and I'm sure a lot of people listening to this have had similar experiences, where your business is just at the threshold of, you can live off this, or you can survive off this, but maybe just below it. Because, you're balancing all these other things. I was focused on school. I was focused on, going in that direction too. And it was just like the momentum I had was just under the threshold of what I needed. So eventually my parents came to, and they were aware of my financials and everything. But they were also aware of how much I loved and enjoyed this. So they made a deal. They cut me a compromise. And that deal was, Evan, we're going to give you a year to go all in on your business, or on drones, on whatever you think. You have obviously proved that you want to do it, and it's not like I want to take a year off and pursue it, and was just sitting on the couch every day. No, I was pursuing this, and they saw that, respected it. So I said, we'll give you a year, and we want you to do everything, say yes to every opportunity, go do everything you possibly can, see what you can build in this year when you're fully focused. You don't have school pulling you other ways. You don't have anything pulling you in other directions. Your job is to do this. And if you succeed and build something, congratulations, go do your thing. If not, you're going to school. And I said, deal. Before they even finished, I was like, deal. That's the dream.
That's a good deal.
I was lucky, for one, that I had supportive parents, but that since I was the age I was, I had nothing to lose. Nothing.
Absolutely nothing to lose. Yeah,
nothing to support. Nobody to support. Nothing. No car payment. No, nothing. So it was why not? Let's go for it. And that's exactly what I did. And I think about what would have happened if I did go to school and try and split it, because that was the other alternative, was to go to school and try and do this on the side and just try and build it. And I 100% do not think I would be where I am today if I didn't go all in on in that year. That year was the most important year of my life, because I was able to say yes to everything. I was able to work for cheap. I was able to get my name out there. I was able to work for free, provide as much value as possible to anyone that I possibly could, and build my name and my brand. And I wasn't worried about the bills at the end of the month because I was living at my parents' place. And that gave me a lot of power. Having that power allowed me to do a lot of work, get a ton of exposure and a ton of experience for no risk, really. And then as you trail into that last 6 months of that year, I had those connections, I had that experience, and then the money and all that came to me at that point, and the calls came because I had already built that. So I am incredibly lucky and fortunate to have had that deal from my parents. And then once that year was up, they said, all right, you're getting out of here. So I moved out that same day, and then just have continued to try and grow and do more things. And the end goal is, like, the reason this is my home screen on my phone of me flying is when I'm making career decisions is, what would that little kid want me to do? Like,
that's great. I love that.
That's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm 20. I've been doing this now for, I guess, since I was 16, so 4 or 5 years now, and am just focused on building businesses and finding ways to support myself that kid would want to wake up and do every day, because that's where I find fulfillment and happiness. And that's just and that makes it harder, but it makes me happy. So that's what I'm doing.
All right. So tell us about Beverly Hills Aerial. What do you do with Beverly Hills Aerial?
So Beverly Hills Aerials is a premier aerial cinematic company out in Los Angeles, in LA. Mm-hmm. And the one big way that a lot of professional FPV pilots or professional drone pilots make money is by doing filming. And that was another stream of income that I wanted to utilize. And it was another way that I could turn flying drones into dollars. So I started when I was about 16, trying to do various freelance work. So working for various local production companies, like the local university, basically anyone who would let me fly a drone around them for money or for not, I was doing it, trying to build that rapport and that experience and all these things. And I started to gain some traction. But the real career and the real professionals, I would say, or not the real professionals, but a lot of the higher ups in that industry are based out of LA. So that was the dream, was how can I get good enough or have a big enough name to work for those people out in LA? And Beverly Hills Aerials, to me, was the top dog. That's what I wanted to work for. So it started as I kind of slowly built this name, reached out to them, had an interview with them even online. And it didn't, like, I was young, I was still in school, and they kind of just said, like, we'll keep an eye on you, but like, it's not going to work out right now. So they said that, and I just kept going. And they were watching. I could see, like, when they would look at my stories or when they would like my Instagram posts or view my videos and stuff, I knew they were watching. So I just kept going. And sure enough, the opportunity came to where they needed me on set. And they were like, we want to try out. We want to meet you in person stuff. And I knew that, like, that was, you talk about the door being open. I was like, I need to go in there. I need to kill it. And sure enough, went there, met the people. They were really, really excited. And then they said, all right, like, literally, I was sitting in the airport coming home from that first job, and they said, okay, the owners want to meet you. Can you fly to New Orleans next Tuesday or whatever? I said, deal, 100%. And I flew down there to meet the owners, who are awesome guys. And they were happy with it too. And then it basically turned out to be, now all the film work I do is exclusively through Beverly Hills Aerials. So I don't do freelance. I don't do any of that anymore.
Okay.
I work exclusively through Beverly Hills Aerials as one of their head pilots, which is something I've really, really enjoyed. And it's basically, it's from a business aspect and all the things that I'm trying to do, it's a more stable stream of income that I can rely on in comparison to the other businesses that I do that are more like DRL is dependent on how good you are and how that fluctuates. My business, of course, is very dependent upon sales and all these other things in the market, but that is kind of my pay the bills type of revenue stream that I wanted to kind of put down. And it's with great people and a fantastic deal as far as the contract we ended up with that I was super happy with and they were super happy with, and allows me to work and go do a lot of fun jobs and all around the world, get paid based off a consistent amount that kind of keeps the lights on, quite literally, and then allows me having that allows me to swing for the fences on everything else I do.
All right.
And
so how busy do they keep you? They keep you pretty busy?
It depends on the time of year. So during the summer, we're working all the time because that's when a lot of their jobs do. But in the other months, I'm working a few days a month. So go out on a job. I don't have to live in LA, which is super nice. And then I can go. They'll say, "Hey, there's a job here. We need you to go." I'll go. I'll fly, do all the things, or I'll go to LA to help them develop something or work with a team, whatever it is. And then I can come home and work on my businesses and my brand. And then if on average, I would say it takes up less than a week of my time per month. And so if I can trade something that keeps the lights on for less than a week of my time per month, it's a sweet deal. I'm very, very lucky to do that and have that opportunity. And it's given me a lot of opportunity to, take bigger risks than other business things that I do.
All right. So what other business things are you doing? Are you involved with Heads Up, the goggles and the video new system for drones?
So as far as other, like 533 is really where all of or most of my business moves are done under right now. So 533 as a brand is always trying to get into other industries in the drone world, doing always being a part of the latest and greatest technology and stuff. And I'm really trying to turn 533 into something that I, of course, support and I'm a part of. But Evan or Heads Up I don't want that to be the brand because that lives only as long as I do and or as long as I'm working. The idea is to build 533 into something that is known for being top notch and flown by the best and, just something you can count on that I, of course, support. I'm trying to grow, but I will put my own personal brand maybe second to that. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, definitely.
So that is, to answer your question, more what I'm doing.
All right. So how does your previous experience as a young entrepreneur and professional drone racer prepare you for challenges and demands working with Beverly Hills Aerial and your other positions?
Yeah. I think the biggest challenge, or one of the bigger challenges I faced in doing all this is I'm young. I'm really young. And that, whether you want to or whatever you believe or not, like when you look at somebody, you immediately make assumptions. And when you look at a 20-year-old, I started doing this when I was 16, whether that's you're on a business call, you're trying to negotiate, you're trying to make deals. You're in essence fighting. You're in the pool with sharks.
Mm-hmm.
And they look at you, and you have to have a chip on your shoulder. And I really did have to have a chip on my shoulder to kind of say, like, they would try and challenge you with maybe more difficult questions, or maybe try and push back and not treat you the way as maybe they would somebody who's more established in the industry and all these things. And you had to. It really forced me to build the social skills and that confidence to say, like, look, dude, like, I'm here to play. I'm here to compete with you guys and work with you guys, and I'm not going anywhere.
Absolutely. Someone else mentioned that chip on the shoulder. Another young guy I interviewed last week, and he's a real estate investor, and he mentioned he had to have a chip on his shoulder to help get things done.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's with not only being young, but being just new in any industry. You have to have it. But that chip that I kind of developed and learned how to deal with helped me, or it continues to help in all the business that I do anywhere. Because when you're doing business with somebody, or you're thinking about doing business with somebody, like, that first impression, I think, is very, very important. You want to see, what do they do under pressure? Like I've always heard, like, the analogy, like even a baby smiles, like, when you give it, like, candy, like, it's easy for anybody to look good when things are going well. But what do you do when things are going wrong? What do you do when you're put under pressure? What do you do when you get backed into a corner? Like, that is something that you have to prove. And that's what experience, shows. But now, having been in business for nearly 4 years, it's kind of given me a little bit more rapport to just the entire industry as a whole. But it's also, people see time and time again when things aren't going great for me, or things aren't going well for the company, and we got to crawl ourselves back out of the hole and, perform when it counts. And that applies in racing, and that's a skill I had to learn in racing, and then in business. And then now that skill And personality trait really is just, it carries on to everything I do, and people notice it.
Cool. So you're bringing me to another point now, like your mindset. Doing all this, you're drone racing, you're doing businesses at 16. You're having business is hard enough by itself. So what kind of things do you do to keep yourself in the right frame of mind to continue to progress?
Yeah, that's something I put a lot of thought into recently, and over the past year, really. And something, I guess, well, there's two things. I mean, one of the bigger things is just the building processes like you would in any business. Like, what are things that you do every single day, no matter what? And these are just things that happen. And by like that, you doing that every single day, like, for example, like we send a weekly newsletter in our business. That's
Okay.
something we do every single week, week in, week out, week in, week out. Is that one newsletter going to change your life and change the entire scope of the business and direction? No. But if you do it every single week and it gets better, like we make the rule, his only rule is he gets his rate to make the newsletter, but the rule is he has to make it better every single time that he does it. And he has to tell us what he does to make it better every single time. And if you just do it week in, week out, week in, week out, you start to have this really nice product that sells. So if you take that same concept and apply that to you personally, and you just your day, every single day, if you can put little things in there that make you better, and you can do them day in and day out, it will in turn turn you into a pretty badass human that has badass traits and can handle the pressure. Like, it can do a lot of things, but you have to do them consistently, and you have to do, like, you got to continue to fill that day and add more and more of them. So that kind of comes, and also for me, be very self-focused. I'm not focused on competitors, not focused on any other, what everybody else is doing. Like, if I focused on what everybody else is doing, I would be in college right now, because that's where all my friends are. But
Okay.
being very self-focused, and that also comes from all the things I've learned in racing. Like, if you're focused on your competitors and what they're doing and things that are out of your control, you're going to fail. But if you can just focus on you and do the best that you can possibly do, and not let any of the outside noise affect your daily decisions. If you just find that pace, you will get better. And it's the tortoise, like the person who likes walking will always go further than the person who likes the destination type thing, you know?
And you got a good head on your shoulders.
That's kind of what I've landed on. So whether that, and to answer more directly, like working out every single day, working a certain amount on the business, working a certain amount on the racing, making sure that I'm still motivated and passionate about what I do, because I do my best work when I'm passionate. Sure, I'm not burnt out. If I am burnt out, stop. It's going to work, because if it's not going to work. So if you're not feeling it, don't do it, because if you continue to put those, like, I don't want to do this, but I'm still doing it about your business, at least to me, my productivity, if it's an unpassionate hour of work, I find that is equivalent to like 10 minutes of passionate work. Like, if I'm excited about what I'm doing and I'm passionate about whatever it is that I'm working on or towards, I can complete an incredible amount of things. But if I'm like, I don't want to do this, and I mean, there are times where you have to do things you don't want to do. I admit to that. But if you can, I guess that's where I'm in a lucky position of, I do things that I like to do, and I can get them done really, really fast and efficient and effectively and good. Then that helps a lot. So, I mean, that was a long-winded answer, but those are all kind of things and values that I hold to be the person that I am, I guess.
Cool, man. So what advice would you give to other young people pursuing their dreams?
Yeah, if there are other young people watching, I guess the biggest thing, it'll lead into, I guess I'll tell a story, but I'll start with a story. So growing up, I wanted to be a doctor. Both my parents were doctors. They had obviously been successful, and I was like, I thought that would be really cool. So as I got older, 14, 15, and then 16, where obviously the path kind of changed because of this exact conversation. People start asking when you're 16, and I'm sure if you're a young person watching this, like, once you start becoming 16, you get your driver's license, people are like, what do you want to do when you grow up? Where are you going to go to school? All these things. And the question starts to come up more and more and more. Well, it started to, and I started telling people I wanted to become a doctor, and I thought it'd be super cool and go to school at these nice places and stuff. And my dad on this long car ride one time, sat there and was telling me all of the basically was trying to convince me not to be a doctor, telling me how much debt you're going to go into, how long you're going to go to school, and how much it's going to suck, how bad the hours are going to be, how little money you're going to make until you're like 32, or just all of these real. And then if you make a mistake, it's not a number that changes, it's somebody's life that changes. And do you want to be responsible for that? And if you're like, what if something goes wrong and you're tired and you make a mistake that costs somebody their life and you get sued and your life is ruined? Like, do you want to do that? And I was like, absolutely not. That sounds horrible.
Right.
But you know, that's kind of weird, right? Because my dad does exactly that. And he did do exactly that. And so did my mom. So I thought that was really weird. And what that led to is him saying, if I can convince you to not be a doctor, you probably shouldn't be a doctor. Because I mean, it shows right then and there that you're not truly passionate about it. You don't truly care about it. And that leads into the latter part of the story. When I was about 17, about the time I was telling my parents I didn't want to go to college, I sat down and I was like, guys, I don't want to go to school. I don't want to do it. And I want to pursue this drone business. Like, they were like, are you crazy? Are you kidding me? That like, it was, again, I was at a point where it's like, I was making a little bit of money, but not enough to support myself. It was incredibly volatile, all things considered. Like, they didn't know if I would make it or just it'd go to zero. And they tried to, or my dad specifically, who's a very risk adverse person. He's not the person going out there and starting businesses. He's not the one going out there trying to turn $5 into $50. Like, no, he is go to school, get the job, work consistently, put food on the table, get the 401k, retire at 60. That's my dad. Okay. And he has been wildly successful doing that. And obviously was. But so that it's scary for him to say like, oh, you're going to like invest the vast majority of your net worth on a business and then try and turn that into more money and all these things. And he, again, tried to convince me not to do it. And we went through this whole speech, and he's very, very methodical in the way he like argues and all these things. And I got to the end and I was like, yeah, and I still want to do it. And yeah, that is correct. That is terrifying, but I still want to do it. And from that moment forward, both my parents were more supportive than ever because they couldn't convince me not to do it. So you need to have that person, or even if that's self-talk with yourself of, let's think of all the things that could go bad or all the bad things that can happen. I'm going to have to work like crazy for no money. I'm going to have to not go to college with my friends. This could all flip on its head at any time. And then all of a sudden you lose everything, no problem, but I'm still going to do it. And if you can have that conversation about whatever it is that you're pursuing, I truly believe you can and will be successful. That's what I believe in it. And that may be because it worked for me, but I've seen it from other people as well. It worked for, I mean, obviously both my dad as well. There are all these reasons that you shouldn't be a doctor and it's terrifying, but he was very passionate about that. And he was willing to stay up late. He was willing to like eat like ramen noodles every single day for years and years as he was getting paid like very little as a medical student and all these things. But he did it because he loved it, and like he became successful doing it. And he basically instilled, and both my parents instilled that into me with pursuing what it is that you enjoy doing. And that analogy always was so powerful to me, is if somebody can convince you not to do it, don't do it. But if they can't, then put your head down and run towards it. And that's what I did. So that's the story. And if any young person can take something from that, I would be honored. But that is a really powerful thing in my eyes.
Well, anybody can take, even older people can take that, because I mean, it's common sense type stuff. When you want to go into business, it's not going to be easy. If you're going to give up easily, you're probably not going to get very far with it. So,
absolutely.
So, man, we're going to wind it down now. I really appreciate your time and coming on here, man. It's good to see you and good to hear what you're doing, and hope to see more of you. And we'd like to, when you tell us, 533 is the business you own. So how many products you have with that business now?
I think we have, I don't know how many SKUs we have right now, over several hundred at this point.
Okay.
Products. And it is fly533.com is our website name.
Okay.
At fly533 for Instagram. My personal Instagram and everything is at headsupfpv. And that I try and stay pretty active on social media for all the people who like to keep up with the random projects that we're doing. And yeah,
Cool.
that is.
Send me all your links so I can put them in the descriptions, and they can find you that way too. And
Cool.
man, I really appreciate it. Again, go-getter. You're a go-getter, man. And you're only what, 20 now? Just starting out, 20, and boy, you're already there. You already got a good head on your shoulders, and you're gonna go far. I can already see it. So not just with the drone racing, but with your businesses. That's amazing. So thank you for your time, Evan. And when are you gonna be back in Houston again, man? When are you gonna be back to Night Spot?
I was there just a couple weeks ago, actually.
Oh, were you? And I missed you?
Yeah.
I haven't been to the Night Spot in a while. I haven't been able to make it working. So.
Those are good guys over there. But yeah, I was there just a couple weeks ago. But next time I'm there, I'll make sure to hit you up and we'll hang out.
Yeah, let me know when you're in town. I'll come fly with you.
Sounds great.
All right, man. Good to see you, and you take it easy. I'm going to end the recording now, but I'll have to I have to get you to hang out because it'll download the audio and video from your end.
Okay, cool.